Hi everyone, so we have a new interview with some details on the Battle Pass in Diablo 4. Someone linked me this IGN article yesterday talking about that the Battle Pass is expected to be completed within 80 hours or so. And that one is actually written based on an interview with PC Gamer that Joe Piepiora, the game's associate game director, has given. Also keep in mind that on the 20th of April there is the developer update livestream. I'm going to be watching that live on stream and reacting and discussing it, so be there. And we're probably going to hear a lot more interesting stuff as well. So the first thing in this article is again about the difference between ARPGs and MMOs. And Piepiora says that Diablo 4 is an action RPG first. And this is also basically from what all we've seen so far with the game, with the beta, and with other interviews and information they have given. These MMO elements that, yeah, there is an open world, there is a shared world, you can see other people wandering around. But in general, you don't do that very often, actually. So if you have played the beta, you will know that you barely see any other people. You might find them on certain like zone events or the bosses. But outside of that, you're just kind of like on your own. And honestly, I think this is also how most people will prefer it to be. So it's actually kind of nice that, you know, they are focusing on that first. And on top of this, we have the seasonal resets where you start from 0. You don't have like a continuous progression with your character as it is in MMOs where, you know, it just comes like the next raid and the next patch and then comes the expansion. And you just keep going all the time. You actually do make different characters. What is also interesting here is that he's talking about the group play. So he says that everybody is sort of a damage dealer. So it doesn't have this like holy trinity, for example, of WoW with tank, healer, DPS, where you have certain roles. Of course, that doesn't really prevent us players from potentially making such a meta, or at least having some kind of like support gameplay like it is in Diablo 3. But I think this will be a huge exception. For example, when I was doing my own theory crafting on stream the other day, people kept coming in and asking about are there going to be support builds? And the answer is most likely not really. Diablo 4 doesn't really have like that much potential for support builds, I guess. There's definitely some for some classes, that depends a little bit, but for example the barbarians, maybe the druids, they could definitely make some kind of support builds, but in general this kind of support meta that we have seen, for example, in Diablo 3 is unlikely to continue to Diablo 4, at least with what we know so far. Maybe there's going to be, you know, more updates, more legendary powers, etc. Some stuff that you can use to buff your party or in other ways contribute without dealing damage. But I think that in regular gameplay, you're not going to see people actually playing supports. And it's going to be something reserved for the very high end, for like very organized teams trying to push like tier 100 nightmare dungeons or something like that. And down here is also the most important point that I want to talk about, which is the Battle Pass. So there will be two systems in place, one that we know from Diablo 3, which is the seasonal journey, but it works a little bit differently. So for what we have seen so far is that you don't have to complete every single step in every chapter of the season journey, but instead you have to do something like only 9 out of 11. So you can skip some that you don't like to do and then move on to the next chapter, and they will most likely become like progressively harder to achieve and progressively more time investment you have to put in so that you get certain rewards on that. But the season journey does seem to reward you with certain items and certain other stuff. And then this will also contribute to the Battle Pass, which is a separate system. And the Battle Pass will have two separate tracks. That's usually how it goes, one being the free one and one being the premium one. And Joe Piepiora again stressed that this is exclusively for cosmetic rewards, the premium pass. And the free track will give you basically XP boosts and some other stuff. So maybe there's like some extra rewards that go beyond what you get from the seasonal journey. So there seems to be kind of a connection between those two systems, with the seasonal journey, I assume, extending beyond the Battle Pass, because they say here that you're looking at roughly 80 hours worth of time invested to complete the entirety of the Battle Pass, which is actually a rather low amount, I would say, even for more casual players. If you think about that, seasons are going to be 3 months. Yeah, this leaves you with something like less than 1 hour per day that you have to invest to finish the Battle Pass if you want to. And they even specifically said that story-focused players who aren't interested in the endgame can skip it and come back when a story update happens. And they say that, you know, they can kind of like do whatever you want, basically. They don't want to feel forced, like you have to play more just to complete the Battle Pass. So they kind of set it on like a rather low level. And I guess this 80 hours of game time is realistically a lot less if you kind of know what you're doing and you watch my guides. So I feel it's kind of curious because at least the battle pass systems that I know are generally quite extensive with like a really long grind attached to them, whereas in Diablo 4 it seems to be like a very short one. So I guess that is kind of positive. You can just kind of get everything from it quite easily, quite early. And it also allows you, for example, to get those XP boosts going for your next characters. So if you want to do like a second, a third build, etc., that kind of like alleviates this whole problem of people, asking for easier respecs. For example, you can just level another character probably really fast. They haven't really given us the details on what exactly these battle pass bonuses are and how big they are and what exactly you're getting. But realistically, I expect that making your second character, like your alt, is going to be significantly faster, probably like multiple times faster. At least this is what I would go with. And I would also expect the seasonal journey to actually go way beyond the battle pass itself. While in Diablo 3, the seasonal journey is like an absolute joke and experienced players can finish it in like, one afternoon basically. I expect that the seasonal journey will actually go longer than the battle pass here, so that there is like some kind of like end game challenges included. For example, reaching level 100, completing a level 100 boss, completing, certain nightmare dungeon tiers, finding all the uniques, I don't know what, stuff like that, I guess. Some kind of like end game grind that actually has like some reward attached to it. At least this is what I would expect and what I think would be really neat to have for the people that are more engaged and want to grind all the way to like a perfect character over like hundreds of hours. Either way, I felt this was an update worth sharing and I wanted to give my input on it because some people have been asking about it. So here it is. I have these articles linked in the description so you can go check them out. And also hope that you're going to tune in on the live stream on the 20th, which I believe is not even the last live stream that we're going to get until launch. So I think in May at some point they want to do yet another developer update that actually covers the seasonal journey and the battle pass and these kind of features in more detail as well, as far as I know. So you might hear more then. So that's it for now. Hope you enjoyed this one. Let me know what you think and see you guys next time.